There he
Right.
is.
I was trying to do it on my laptop and then the hotel internet stopped.
Beautiful. Beautiful. What time you got there? What time is it?
2 p.m.
Ah, so I'm all sprightly and you've kind of been taking bullets for 6 hours.
I'm all right. Just not been well. And
Oh,
today's
sorry, mate.
it's gone worse today. I've got a really chesty cough.
Would you like to
I'm
do this another time?
okay if you are.
Yeah, of
Um,
course, of course, of
it,
course.
it wouldn't be Thailand without me getting sick. Seems every
Culminating.
time I come here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I wish you a speedy recovery, mate.
Thank you. I'm convinced it's all stress based.
Like, yeah, normally, eh? I think
Yeah.
also with kind of traveling and you get a little bit, we can get a little bit out of whack as well, and run down, can't we? Kind of, we carry on as if nothing's happened, but we've just kind of shifted our body physically and expected it to just cope. So, like, it's on catch up, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
There's other stuff going on, as
Okay, I'm
always.
sure. I'm sure. Yeah. How can I help you, my friend?
Um, just again, I know I'm overthinking it. It's just the process I really want to understand more than
Okay.
anything. Um, and it's not about can I do this? Can I reach that state? Can I recall it? Can I sustain it? Can I,
hmm
go
hmm
back there whenever I want? Of course I can. I'm trying to understand more about uh, what the process is, how it works, and where it leads to.
What
Um,
process are
I know,
you
I know you
referring
gave
to?
that. I know you gave that a term. It's the seeking, isn't it?
Well, what process are you referring to? Working out or understanding? You should clarify that.
The the non-duality space. Uh,
Okay.
what essentially what I've done with you.
Okay. All right. So if I mean, I know you've watched lots of other people other than myself, right? And this, I assume you have, right? Because you're in it, for want of a better word. Mm, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, which are just no
Sure.
tests. They're just common sense, straightforward questions, and just go with whatever you understand to be the truth. Yeah, like anything that we would discuss. So, what is duality? What is living in duality?
I can only make up an answer, and the first answer that comes to my mind is it's a battle between the conscious and the unconscious.
Okay. Focus on the words in the word I'm using, and to get a little bit more specific with that, if you can,
Hmm.
because you've kind of just gave an example of, as opposed to say what duality is. So I'm not talking about non-duality. I'm talking about where you live, what you experience in this instant when you're not in the abyss of nothingness in the non-dual world, right? When you're not in the non-dual world, when you're not reading and studying it, you are by default in the dualistic world where things are good and bad or right and wrong or blah blah blah. Everybody is, right? That's the life they live. Yeah.
Yin and yang.
Yeah. So within that context, again, there's no tests or right or wrong answers. So that we're pointing to the same place. What is a dualistic world? Well, what is a dualistic experience as opposed to a non-dualistic one? What differentiates it intellectually from what you've studied or read or watched? And if you don't, if an answer doesn't come, that's fine. It's not a promise. It's not a test. And I haven't got an answer to give you. I'm just asking for your opinion.
I don't have an answer because it's not an area I've studied.
Beautiful, isn't
Um,
it? That you live in this. How old are you?
60.
60 years you've been living in the dualistic world and you don't even know what that is. So how can you possibly believe you can understand what a non-dualistic world is if you don't know what the thing you've been living in for 60 years is? So
If
sometimes,
we were if we were discuss it as a concept similar to the Matrix, let's say,
yeah, yeah.
that I completely understand. You live in La La Land, you don't even know you're there,
Hmm.
and everything
Why? Why
that
is it? Let's dig in on that, mate. Let's do it. So let's
yeah,
before moving on. What is La La Land? Why
it's
is it La La Land?
because it's everything you've been told and read and seen and experienced that you believed,
Okay,
but you never questioned and you never sought the truth
okay. And
until it becomes blue pill, red pill day, and you've got to decide: do you want to stay in La La Land or do you want the truth? As hard as it might be to accept.
yeah. And what's stopping you from accepting your truth?
I don't have an issue accepting it. I have an issue knowing what it is and understanding it
What
because
if
I can't
it's
understand
all,
it without knowing what it is. And I
what
can only
if,
understand it through the filters I've learned in 60
okay,
years.
okay. And this may frustrate you. I promise it's not intended to. What you would have heard this analogy in a different way, but I'm going to apply it to what you just said.
Okay.
You are currently acting as a wave on the ocean, trying to find out what the ocean is. You are like a fish trying to find out what water is. It's impossible because it's here, it's everything, it's all you know. And there's nothing else to find out about it because you already know all of what you know, and that's it. And it ends there. And if it ends there, whatever it is, it's done. So, what you are aware of right in this instant, in reality, the only thing you can feel, touch, smell, and taste, what you're aware of right now is all you know. Yeah. You don't know anything from the past, Sodhi. You remember things now. You know it now. Otherwise, you'd be thinking about it all the time. You'd be locked in that memory. So you don't have a life of 60 years of stuff that's real. You have this instant that's real and fuck all else apart from memories and thoughts. The memories that you have are automatic. You didn't decide what to remember. The body decides what to remember based on good and bad or safe or not safe because it obviously wants to avoid the bad stuff in the future that you've already experienced in the past. But do you see that the past is just a thought? It's not a real thing.
Yes, and so is anything that's good, bad, or anything that
Yeah,
has
yeah.
a dualistic
Let's go. Let's stay focused just on my. Just let's just try and restrict yourself to a yes or no, just to for me to
Okay.
point you along a path. Yeah, and because if I know exactly where you are on the path as we go down these questions, I'll know where to point you as appropriate or not. You may get there yourself. Yeah. But you will get there because you can't wiggle out of what is because it is what is. All right. So when the mind stops, when it, when the mind stops, the story of my life stops spinning. The I and the me in it isn't talking to you in your head and telling you to do something or that there is a next that needs doing. When it's not doing that, the story in your head, when it's not saying I need to understand this or I need to there's a gap here in non-duality. What is saying that? What is saying those words? Something they're coming from somewhere.
Not a need. It's just something I want.
All right, brilliant.
And
That's cool. That's cool.
and all of these
Let's
things
break it. No, I'm going
are
to break it. Let's stop talking sex. Stop talking, darling. The I that wants it. And where is that in the story? Where does the I begin and end? in the physical dimension of time and space where you, in a physical body, in time and space, can do anything about. Where does the I and me begin? And where's the middle of me in that story that's real in this instant?
I don't understand the question.
Mm. So
Um,
you said I just wanted to, or words to that effect, like you just wanted to learn it
yeah,
or understand it. Yeah.
it's not,
The
yeah.
the the I that you are referring to in that, well, in what you said, yeah. Where is it? Where's the I that you're referring to? Because you spoke, Sodhi spoke, but you referred to an
Yeah.
I, which is not what spoke.
In a perceived consciousness, which is all
Perfect.
filters at the end of the day.
It's just how we've been conditioned to speak. But I does isn't a real tangible thing. Me isn't a tangible thing. My life isn't a tangible thing. There's only this instant that's tangible.
Well, in reality, nothing is tangible because
It's
we don't
still
know
this in,
anything.
it's still this
Nothing's
instant.
real.
It's still this instant, by the way. And still nothing's happened since we sat on this call. Nothing good, bad, or right and wrong. Nothing's happened. We've chirped like birds that we call words and put meaning into. Does a bird have a life and a story and a lifeline it's carrying around for 60 years, thinking it's real in this instant? Or is it think
It
that
has a
it's just
life.
this instant?
It has a life. I don't know whether it attaches
No,
any
it
meaning
doesn't.
to
No,
it.
it doesn't. It doesn't have any understanding concept of a life like you do, like your life and my life, as I do with my life. It doesn't do that. It doesn't
Okay.
know X,
In
Y,
my
Z.
understanding, yeah, in my understanding, it goes through a life cycle. In its own, I don't know.
Absolutely, because that's what you have been conditioned to know. And that's all you know, and you don't know anything else. So you can't possibly know anything else other than what you know. And do you see the paradox here, the problem? You are
Yeah.
seeking for knowing, and the only thing you're seeking for really is more words, because there's whatever you find out, whatever you then believe is true, and fixes everything and ends your search for whatever it is you believe you're searching for, what's changed at that point in reality? What difference has it made to what can be seen, smelt, heard, tasted, and felt? What knowing more words, remembering more words, what in this instant, how does it help you? How does it help you find peace and stillness of mind when you are trying to add words to mind and use the mind to silence the mind by adding words to the mind? How could that possibly work?
Okay, I accept that as a concept, but I'm not looking for peace and stillness. I'm looking to understand the process here, which seems to be more about not adding more meaning and words and filters, but removing them.
Bingo. Unlabeling. So if you imagine your 60 years, your life, yeah, as you've always known it, as you know it in this instant, would it apply if your name wasn't Sodhi? Would it have the same meaning and purpose in the context of a life if a different name was in it?
Okay, it would lose what I know labeled as a referential index.
Perfect.
Without that, you can't understand what you're talking about because you've lost an index that points to it.
Exactly. And that index is what we label as the identity. It's that referential point
Yeah.
of this
This
is
context,
me.
yeah,
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 this is me. This is my beliefs. These are my causes. This is all I know.
yeah.
So this is
This is
me.
the life I've had. This is how many years I've been
Yeah.
through,
But it all
and
comes down
it's
to
all centered from self.
yeah. It
It's all
all
centered
come
from self.
it all comes
Sorry.
down to the same pointing is you only know what you know. It's the knowing that creates the seeking because the more you know, the more that ego thinks it knows. But all the words were made up because they didn't exist before humans, right? So we don't actually really know that we know anything. I know we know the concepts that we invented, and that's beautiful for teaching and learning. But one of them being time, one of them being language, one of them being distance, one of them being space,
Knowledge,
right?
understanding,
Yeah, they're
progress.
just exactly, they're just labels of nothing, and they don't stand up on their own without any other words. They don't, you can't explain any of those words to anybody, or they don't have meaning without using other words to explain them. So it's all a big word spaghetti that we live in that really we made up, which is fine because it creates structure, right? We have structure and can communicate, and it's beautiful. But as you know, words are, I don't know the exact number, like less than 15% of language in terms of body language and aura and sentiment and intention and stuff, right? All that crap.
42%.
Okay, cool. And I think that varies in different cultures. Yeah.
Sorry, it's actually 42% of the communication
Right. Okay. Yeah. And
of
I know that
words.
that varies in different cultures as well, because
Can
some
do.
cultures are more energetic than others and
I
more
was watching
whatever.
Italians.
That's yeah, pure aliveness. It's beautiful. And so what we just discussed and agreed there is the person and the life of the person is wholly dependent on its location, its culture, its education, it's everything it knows. That's what it is, everything it knows. And it chooses based on its own values and concepts and beliefs what it wants to do and prioritize and for calls for or ignore or prior whatever. Right. That's just how we go through all the things and prioritize what we want to do and choose what we want to do. All we're doing is choosing what words to think of in this instant until we actually physically do the thing in this instant. But we spend 99% of our time thinking of the things that we want to do or don't do or how to do or do better or to win or to get more. When really outside of that story that's playing in my life, in my mind, which isn't in reality here, it's just memories. There's nothing actually happening, Sodhi. So if everybody didn't speak and stood still for 1 minute and we turned off all machinery on Earth, what would be happening on Earth? What problems would be ongoing outside of environmental shit that we're not touching, right, at the minute, and the stuff but in that instant, in that 1 minute, what problems are being created, fixed, believed, not believed? There's like nothing's happening on Earth in this example, in this instant, in that 1 minute, when the people on Earth, all 8 billion of them, aren't speaking and aren't moving, right? So this message, kind of taking that analogy into mind, this message suggests that there's not really anything happening anywhere ever. There's never anything happened. Nothing's happening now, and nothing will ever happen unless you are convinced you are that I or that me in the story of my life in that mind, and you react to it or believe it or want to learn more about it because there's nothing happening. So you're creating a sense of needing to find out, in needing to know, needing to continue seeking in order to feel or find something better than what is. And unfortunately, the awakening is there is only what is in this instant. And it's still this instant because time is a concept.
Who and what does that help to serve?
It doesn't help anybody. It's not even a thing. It's just another story to try and undo the story of duality, of good and bad, because this isn't good and bad. This is just a case, a black case. But if you're looking for this for 2 hours and then you find it, it's a good black case. If you don't need the case, you're not bothered about the case. There's no emotion or energy towards the case. There's no intention for the case. So you don't create a next around the case. all along. It's just a case and nothing's happened. But we can create a scene where I need that case. And the scene that we have created is we use the concept of time to agree to meet at a time. We agreed a concept of a topic to talk about, which we're talking about. We agreed to respect and honor each other and not talk over each other. That's just kind of the human contract. It's something we've been conditioned to do. But all these things that we just do without thinking that we've been conditioned to do, right? You know, a caveman couldn't do this, what we're doing, because he's not been conditioned to do this. So he will think this is bad. This will make him anxious. He will not like this. But Sodhi likes this because he thinks he can be a better Sodhi by having this. He thinks that this has something that doesn't happen. Or the mind,
Well,
his mind.
I think there's been a cost to what we perceive to have been our progress and
It's
evolution.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a cost
It's
to our spiritual aspect,
oh
if
mate,
nothing else.
it is soul destroying.
It's
But
carnage.
that is also it as well, isn't it? Because it's part of the everything. It's part of the
And as
acceptance.
I'm not sure we need a new awakening rather than, well, this isn't a new awakening. It's an awakening of what is.
And that's why it's called an awakening. It's you awaken to everything that has always been. It's called enlightenment because it shines a light on everything that has always been. You just didn't see it until the light went on, until you woke up. And that's why nothing's changed. But all of a
And this,
sudden, mate, it just feels a
and
little
this
bit more like home, doesn't it? But nothing's
right, and
changed.
this is where I get to the point of every conditioned human being, where you then say, and then what? The next question again,
There isn't a
seeking.
next. The next is the mind saying this ain't it. There's got
So
to be something
I've
other than this.
okay.
And the
In
mind
my
isn't you. The mind isn't you, by the way. So
in
don't
my
entertain it.
okay, in my use of language and meaning and understanding, um, I can intellectually understand what we're talking about, but it naturally leads to what do I do with it now?
Yeah, I am telling you for the
Um,
final time, and you are choosing not to listen to me when I say to you, you are not speaking those words. You are not the I in the story of my life, of mind. It doesn't exist. I can't talk to you about something that you're talking to me about that doesn't exist. The I that you said, whatever, doesn't exist, mate. That's the story. That's the story of mind. You are the, when you sit and watch your thoughts in this instant, without adding to them, you're not the I or the me in the story because you're aware, you're watching the thoughts, you're watching that story play out. Even though you speak the words that the story tells you to speak, you are compelled because it feels like they're coming from me or I am speaking. But you are not. You, the real you, brother, you know, when you watch your thoughts, you are aware in that instant, as well as watching your thoughts, you're also aware that you are aware that you're watching your thoughts. You know you're watching your thoughts. You're actually that secondary awareness where there's nothing separate. There's no story that comes in with what is being heard in this instant. There's no story coming in through sight. There's no words. There's no words coming in here. There's no words being tasted. There's no words being smelt. There's no words being felt. There's just feeling happening. There's seeing happening. There's hearing happening. There's no words. The words are learned. We attach the words to the things that have shapes and colors that we call objects and bottles. And then the bottle becomes separate. If you remove the word bottle, what makes you separate from that? In this instant, words. And the only word, as I was mentioned earlier, the only word that stands up on his own is awareness, even though it's a made up word. It's like, it doesn't, you know what that is. because you are it. That's why it feels like home. And that's why it goes quiet when you go, oh, fuck yeah. But the mind will go, this ain't it. No, keep seeking, brother. You can do better than this. This ain't reality. This ain't it. Do it next. Do another next. Do another 15 next for the next 30 years until you're dead. And you've missed what is. You've missed all this. You can't you can't improve on what is. You can't. It never changes. You can fuck it up by thinking you can improve it and adding words or getting involved in something whilst there's nothing happening and you can create in the isness. That's fine. That's beautiful. But if you create from reacting to the mind, you end up rejecting, neglecting, and numbing your body unknowingly and unconsciously. You end up not realizing that you're not the I or the me, and that you're just the awareness of that story playing out in mind. You realize that what is coming through the eyes, you're not in there pressing buttons and pulling levers, doing that. It's just happening. You can't turn it off. You close your eyes, you still see. Seeing still happens, I should say. You muffle your ears. You're not doing it. You're not working out how to hear. You're not working out how to do anything in the instant because it's required in this instant. And by the time that the mind has got its head around the isness, it's not that isness anymore. It's this isness. Everything that you believe you're planning for the future is also the past because you've already thought about it and you haven't done it. It's just a thought. It's never going to happen. That's why you've never done what your dreams have said you're capable of doing, because you think you're the I or the me in that dream. And that disconnects you from what is being seen, smelt, felt, heard, and tasted in this instant, which is all that is real. And none of it comes with a backstory, ever, ever. The backstory is memories. Sitting on that chair 28 minutes ago is a memory. It's not real. Visualizing a big red strawberry in this instant is a thought. It's not real. The prior 59 years of Sodhi's my life, the me and the I in it, in this instant, is a memory. It's not real. It has no meaning. It has no real purpose. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't exist. It only exists in your head. Nobody
It was
else's.
real. It was real in its presence.
Beautiful, darling. And that is the dream. For no reason. That's just how humans have evolved. But when you see this and lift that veil, for no reason, just because you're back here, you haven't done it. And you haven't had to understand anything. You just see and feel it without going through a process, without believing there is a process now. There ain't a process. It is it instantly. It's still this instant, by the way, and there's still nothing happening outside of words. It's sobering, and that's it. It ends there. Doesn't change anything. That's why every non-dual speaker or teacher says there's nothing in this for you. Just a clarity before words, a truth before the words muddy the water and create a false reality for you. And it ain't right or wrong. This is it. This instant is it. It's still it. Everything else is a thought, is a story, is a conditioned word, is a belief, is a concept, is a structure, an expectation, a law, a rule, an expectation, maintenance, a self-created next from a story that isn't real. In this instant, that's real, real. But what's real? The word real is made up. The word real is a word. It's a thought. We've had to remember that. We've been conditioned to use the word real and apply it to what we believe is it. And what is it isn't real. It isn't unreal. It just is it. It is without words. We've constructed the words and constructed the meanings and constructed the beliefs and constructed the matrix that we live in, this big prison that we've constructed out of words and rules. And that's why, if you imagine the way I see it and explain it, Sodhi, is every human on the planet is like every dog on the planet, every bird, every cat, every blade of grass, every every natural biological entity, as we know it, as the word entity, on Earth is unique, will never be here again, has never been here before in that biological form. That means no one's ever looked like that, thought like that, smelt like that, moved like that, and never will ever again. And though the system, is making every blade, trying to make us, every blade of grass, look the same, think the same, eat the same, watch the same, believe the same, wear the same, live in the same place, not go out to the same place. And that's all we know because that's our conditioning. That's my life. And the I and the me has to spend 60 years traversing all that bullshit so it doesn't get into trouble or feel judged. And there's nothing happening. It's just thoughts playing out that you're responding or reacting to. And it's nobody's fault. It isn't anybody. And that's why everybody does it that doesn't lift the veil like this in a very humbling and sobering way without the alleged razzmatazz of enlightenment. Because it's fucking horrendous, mate. You realize how alone you are and that relationships are just concepts. Everybody's just fighting for themselves. And that's why, as a species, we're the only species on the planet to have killed over 100 million of itself just in the last 100 years, as well as the planet that sustains us. Unconscious, because we're living in a story disconnected from this instant, everything that is already and never changes. It just grows and evolves with the seasons. As we spin on our axis and spin around the sun, we're on this speck of dust, brother, spinning around 93 million miles away from our nearest star, which we call the sun, which keeps us warm. That's it. It ends there, like a dog. It ends there for a dog.
That's a made-up concept, though.
Beautiful. It doesn't exist, mate.
But then,
Perfect. Yeah. I don't agree with the words that I have to use to communicate in the dualistic world, but non-duality doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's just what is without doing anything, without needing to do anything, because it already is. It's what you're already experiencing and aware of. It's not the thoughts. The thoughts are just what spins up from what you are aware of. They get triggered by one of the five senses, the thoughts do. What we call distractions. You get distracted and it will spin up a thought. So a distraction will come through sight, sound, smell, feel, taste, whatever. And then a thought will happen. You didn't decide what that thought was going to be. So it can't be you. It just happens. But then when you realize, oh, no, that's not me, you can breathe and watch it, not join in, not energize it, and it just stops. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to sit in a cave for 10 years. You don't have to do anything. You just have to fucking believe, Sodhi, you're not the story. And you're this thing, you're feeling, you're smelling, you're aware of all of those senses, and there's no words in what you are aware of. It's just what you're aware of in non-duality. The words come later, and then it's dualistic. Because when you put a word to something, it becomes an object separate from you. And then your world is dualistic. If you remove the word, you're not separate from that. And the words didn't exist before humans, brother. We don't know what a tree is. We decided to call it that. It was here well before us. What was it called before humans? It just falls apart, mate. The whole fucking thing. For no reason. And it's not like we're trying to win or do anything. It's just like a second perspective of your memories. A second perspective. It's not right or wrong. And whilst it's a second perspective, it will continue as it has done whilst you've been studying it academically. It will continue to, those two perspectives will continue to run in parallel. Then you'll feel like you're having great moments and terrible moments and great moments and terrible moments. But that's just your conditioning. That's just, well, whatever happened in that moment, you've been conditioned to think that's a great or a bad thing. Like, this is great or bad, this case, depending on whether you need what's in it or not, for example. It's just thoughts and words and beliefs and concepts, mate. And none of it is actual physically in time and space a thing that you can wrap your arms around and show me. It's just going on in your head. And it only means something to the conditioned character of Sodhi. What is Sodhi in this instant? Let's take that word. What is it? What is Sodhi?
I don't really understand how to answer that question, but it's just this is just
Beautiful.
leading to more questions and confusion
Yeah.
than anything I've ever
Yeah.
come
And
across.
it, and
Because it
that's
serves no purpose. I
I
don't see
told
the
you it
purpose
wouldn't.
of it.
There is no purpose in it because it just
And
is what is. There's no purpose in what you're already aware of. It's done.
okay,
Otherwise, you
then
wouldn't be aware of it.
what's the point of what you're doing? This is what I want to understand.
It's
Where is it
stop.
heading? How does it help anyone?
I am not
It
trying to
needs,
help
and I'm
anybody.
not,
You need
I'm
to
not, I'm
ask
not
why
trying
you're seeking for something other than what is in this instant. That's the real question.
because
You're
I
the
want a
one
better
that
life
wanted to
than
talk to me.
so far.
But I'm telling you via this message, there
Yeah.
isn't a better life. You created this. It took you 60 years to create this instant. Own it in this instant, not in the story. You can't do anything. You can't change anything with mind. You can change in physical time and space on earth in this instant, whilst that body is breathing. You can change things in this instant only. Everything else is a thought.
Yeah. What you change in this instant changes what we call the future for you, or even the past, if you want to change the meaning of
There
the
is,
past.
I understand, but do you understand that time didn't exist before humans? So it's conceptual. The word
Well,
past and future
it
didn't
fits that.
exist. Are you going to listen or keep talking over me, mate? I'm not trying to upset you. I'm just telling you the message. It's not, don't get upset with me if you don't click. All right. It's not, I'm not giving you a purpose or a meaning or a reason to believe anything or learn. There's nothing to learn or believe or seek. This is it. Everybody, no matter who they are, what country they're in, what age they are, how long they've lived on earth, how much effort they've put into seeking, whether they know about non-duality or not, about the matrix or not, don't matter. All 8 billion of them in this instant, irrespective of how much effort they've put into life up to this instant, we all have the same thing in this instant, which is everything that is in this instant. There's nothing else. And that's all the message is sharing. It's not telling you you're right, you're wrong, this is exists, this doesn't exist. It's a message that for some, Sodhi, can bring a stillness that they haven't had before. Now, you had that at some point, the first time you had stillness as an adult when you was looking into non-duality. But because your body, your experience enjoyed that stillness, it didn't want to lose it and it wants more of it. That's the mind doing the seeking. And that's why we're talking. But we don't know why we're talking because we don't know there isn't anything happening, Sodhi. And you can't get anything out of this. And I can't give you anything. It's just words. I can't give you anything. You have to do it all. And all you have to do is stop trying to stop the mind. And then if you stop trying to stop, you've stopped. If you stop seeking, if you fuck off non-duality, if you fuck off spirituality, if you fuck off meditation, or at least fuck off the words and just do what makes the body feel nice in this instant, because you're going to do it anyway. You don't need to think about it. You're not going to do things that make you feel horrible. I mean, it's insane that you're trying to use your mind to understand this instant. All that there is, all that there is will never change. This has always been this, in this instant, without time, before humans, after humans. Whatever is what is, and you can't do anything about it. You can change your reactions. You can think and create things, but you can't change anything. There's nothing to change. It's just you're creating stuff out of my life, um, whether it be meaningful to the masses or help the masses or not, or just be something for you to try and appease your own ego to try and be better than this. And you can't be better than this. You are this. This is this. There's not a next. It's still this. Time's conceptual. So find me a next if there's no time. What's your next thoughts going to be? It doesn't work like that, mate. It doesn't work how your mind is trying to make it work. That's why it will never work when you're trying to use your mind. And it's in the letting go of the need to understand more is when the healing begins. Because you're starting to quieten the mind because you're not chasing more words to understand and remember. You're not chasing more pieces of the jigsaw of non-duality. The mind's quiet when it doesn't have to do anything. And the only time it knows it doesn't have to do anything, Sodhi, is when the eyes are here, the ears are here, the nose and smell and taste and feelings are here in the body and not in the story of the past or the future, because that isn't this instant. Every other instant that you don't spend in your body, which is why we do meditate, to get comfortable and tolerable being still and silent. That's why those practices can be good. But there's no prize here, and the experience is unique for every body, every human. Yeah, like it's unique for every dog and cat and fish. And like every dog and cat and fish doesn't have a big heavy tail of my life, they're dragging up a mountain every so-called day or every spin on our own axis. They just get on with stuff. They respond to what's coming through their senses in this instant. They don't have plans. They don't have intentions. They don't have desires, dogs and cats and fish. You know, they eat and piss and shit and fuck, kind of. So do we. That's all we do. Everything else we've created out of the story in our head. And we believe that's real and not just the eating, moving, shitting, fucking and hugging like a dog and a fish and a cat. We're no different, mate. I know we can be and we can act it, but biologically, instinctively, we're not doing any of this living. We're not doing the thoughts. We are that is aware that there are thoughts arising and you can do it or not. Whether you want to do it or not, it's up to you. But you should do it and decide what you do in this instant from this place of stillness with and no mind. Then you know it's your truth, your gut and your instinct that's making that decision or choice or whatever, as opposed to a reaction to a non-existent story that only you know. Nobody else knows your story of your life. So nobody will be able to relate to your experience in this instant. It's all unique, like every blade of grass, like every biological entity, unique. And that's all right. And we're so privileged to have this sixth sense of thought, which nothing else has. Nobody else, nothing, no other creature has that we know of, that we're aware of. Yet nothing else is conscious. They're just being. Everything else is just being because it doesn't have a life story that it's trying to maintain and uphold and live up to and improve or fix or decide whether it's believing or not believing. It doesn't go through all of that, all those animals or the grass. They just be. And you be by not believing the story, brother. By not believing you're the I or the me. And by acknowledging that when you are still, you can watch your thoughts. And when you are seeking, you believe you are your thoughts. And that's where you're at. You have two perspectives and you go in and out. And that's normal. And the more time you spend being, the less mind will be involved, the more time you will spend in one of those worlds, which is the one that you've been seeking for, ironically. And you spend more time in it by ending the seeking, by knowing that it's never going to bring you anything other than what is in this instant, no matter what the story tells you. And that's it. It ain't a belief. It ain't a cult. It ain't a team. It ain't a religion. It's raw and direct, without words. And there's it, relaxing from the incessant need to know, that ending, that incessant need to know ending is the most liberating thing a human can experience, because all learning is mind. It's all words. And there's no words being smelt, felt, tasted, seen. There's no words flowing, streaming, no stories streaming through your eyes. The mind creates it from everything it knows, and it's all it knows, which is why it can't believe anything else, Sodhi, because it's all it knows. But the nervous system knows as well. That's why you're talking to me, because something resonates. There's a truth, a wholeness, a home here, and without judgment, and it's just pure unconditional love from this body to that body. No matter what words are spoken, no matter what pain you're in, psychologically, physically, it doesn't make any difference to me. The story of me in this head, it's irrelevant because it's just your story and mine's just my story. But I don't believe my story. I don't entertain it. And so it stopped. The thoughts just stop if you stop energizing them. But for me, that took over 2 years, Sodhi. And we've only been speaking a couple of months. You got to have grace and gratitude and delayed gratification. These are the things that you've never been able to practice. And they're smashing you in the gut now, showing you you've got to practice them. You've got to practice accepting unknowing, not knowing. Make the story inferior, brother. Take back control. Make it in amnesia. Remove all the words from it. And then feel the ground under your feet, the wind on your face, the sun on your fucking forehead. Get your head up and decide what you can do in this instant that's going to bring you joy in this instant. Otherwise, it's just a thought. Or not. It's up to you. I still love you. You soppy bastard. It's brutal, man, and it's so frustrating. I get it. I get it. And I'm not trying to get you to get it. I'm just showing you we can't get it.
I kind of feel like Neo, who's been asked to see, to be given the truth, and then he's left thinking there has to be more.
If you remove the backstory and the thoughts from this instant, why isn't this instant the truth in this instant? Whatever's happening, why isn't it the truth? Yeah, okay.
I
Cool.
didn't.
Okay.
I didn't say it wasn't the truth.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But it leaves you thinking, there has to be more
No, don't,
than that.
remember, it leaves the story thinking, not you, not the awareness. The awareness isn't thinking. The awareness is watching the thinking. The awareness, the real you that you think is you, is that is aware that there's thinking happening. It's not what's being thought, and it's most certainly not the I or the me in what is being thought. It's so disconnected from reality, Sodhi, that over time it just fucking wears you down, mate. And you're like, I can't fucking do this anymore. And that's the people that awaken when they stop seeking. You know, I was meditating and I was in so much pain a few years ago. I was like, fucking kill me. I can't take this anymore. And in that instant, something changed. It was an energetic thing, but I did it through my mind by creating I'm not doing this anymore. And I haven't. I didn't know that I wasn't going to do it anymore when I said that. That's what happened. But what your words are happening, so your reality from your words is there's got to be something other than what is in this instant. There's got to be a next that's real. There's got to be a future. There's got to be time because that's what I've been told. And where that information gets stored is called mind, the mind. And the word the mind is just a mind thing as well. It's just a thought. It's not a thing either. Even the word is just a thought. It's not a thing either. It's a conditioned noise that we've attached meaning to, attached more words to, and created this big word spaghetti that we call language and meaning and beliefs and concepts. And then we believe that's our life.
Well, and we use them to either agree or reach agreement one way or another.
Well, the
There is a
ego
purpose
does,
to
but
it.
I agree with you.
The
It's the
reason
ego
for
that,
it.
yeah, but the awareness doesn't do that. The ego does that, not
We're
you.
not like we're not like the other animals on the planet,
That's right,
right? We
darling.
live much more socially complex lives,
Bang on, bang on. And it's brutal. Look what it's doing.
right? So
Look what it makes us do.
so
It
we need a
sends us
higher
all
level.
mental.
We need a higher level of communication than they use,
Or we can
and
just
and that's the
trust
best.
our
And that's
instincts.
the best we've come up with so far is what we call words.
Well, the highest level of communication that we are aware of, brother, is our instinct. That's before words. And that's your truth. Every time you've gone
Yeah,
against it, it's fucked you for 60
true.
years, every single time. Yeah. All of
Yeah,
us, not you, all of us.
not
Because the
listening to
ego
your
thinks it
instinct because
knows
you want it.
best, right? And it gets caught out all the time because only knows what it knows. And if what it knows isn't the best, then it doesn't know the best.
See, this is one example where I can understand what is, because regardless of what you want it to be, your gut's telling you what it is,
Bang! That's non-duality.
right? And you don't want
I
to listen
don't,
to your gut because
no
you
more
want it to be
words, no
something
more
different.
words. Stop! That is it, mate. It's like using words for a second. It just fucking is what it is now, including
Yeah,
that body, the story going on in the body, the feelings going on in the body. And none of
you
that
don't
comes with a
listen.
new story. None of it comes with a new story. But the mind perpetuates the story, thinking what you're feeling is part of the current story. But the story's not even real.
Yeah, and you don't want to listen to your gut instincts because you want what is to be different.
Beautiful, huh?
That's why you don't listen to them, because you want it to
Yep.
be different than what it really is.
Yep. You think, or the mind does, the ego does. That's why it's called an ego, because it thinks it's better than reality.
Or it just wants reality to be different or better,
Thing
which is
is,
not a bad thing.
remember its reality is it thinks it's a wave, but its actual reality is it's the ocean, like you. You are the awareness of the thoughts, but you've spent 6 years thinking you are the me or the I in the thought, and that the thought is real and exists to anyone else, any of the other 8.3 billion. We've got 8.3 billion people all think they're the center of the universe, that they're in their bodies, looking out, trying to fix
That's not
stuff.
true. Some of them think Donald Trump is the center of the universe. Far gone.
Isn't it lovely how the mind just said that? That nothing's actually happened. It's beautiful. It's funny. It's lovely, darling. And it doesn't, but it doesn't have That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not offended. I'm not in love. I'm not hateful. Nothing's changed. You just shared words with me, and it made me chuckle because we've been conditioned the same in that theme. So I
And that was
understood
an
the joke.
expression of my awareness of some conditioning.
Beautiful. And that is, my darling, non-duality. That is it. It ends there. You're living from that place of awareness, not the place of the story that doesn't exist. What do you smell at the minute? What do you taste? What do you hear? What do you see? It can't be good or bad, can it? It just is what it is. If you remove the words and just experience the aliveness of those senses without words and watch your thoughts and don't add, you'll just, it all makes sense.
Okay, that's a concept I completely understand because only you add the meaning to it. You do it through words. There
Mm.
is no
And
meaning
that,
to anything
and
you add it.
the fucker is, mate, what's this you that just got spoken about? What's the you that just got spoken about from that mouth? It's non-existent, mate. It's a reference to self, and it's a pointer, so it's not real. You can't touch you or me or I. Then they're pointers to the isness, to that body in this instant, because I'm conditioned to know what you're the same as you in this context. That's it. That's all. There's no story there.
This conversation couldn't happen without that, though.
That's
That's
just
the reason
words.
we.
Exactly. I did say it's beautiful for learning and communicating, words are, but they're not real. They're not life.
You know, I can easily, as a trained linguist, I can easily remove those words.
Yeah. And like when you are, sorry, mate, when you're asleep at night and the words are removed by their self, what's going on with the story now? Where's I and me? Are they still alive? What are they doing next? You know what I mean? It's bonkers. It's just sleeping happening and no mind. But then there's a waking happening with mind because you're being distracted by the five senses. But when you're in a theta brainwave or a delta state, you don't have that. You don't have mind. And that's why in the work that I do with the music and the city talking before, I turn the mind off so that people can go straight to their truth, which is what we've done in that first Zoom call that we had, which is when you get the glimpse and all that business and the silence and the peace. But all we're actually doing, Sodhi, is stopping mind. And then because all the distractions are gone, we're sitting still, we're not talking, and there's no mind, we're back in the isness because the story's ended. There's no my life when you're asleep or in a theta brainwave or meditating. There's the life, the backstory ends for that period of time. But then we end the meditation, for example, and all of a sudden our backstory comes back to life and we got to do the next again. When what we really like, what the body actually likes, is it likes resting and we don't let it rest. But we have to label it meditation or mindfulness or some other fucking word. But the body knows what it needs, what it likes, what it loves. And when you get out of the way, now that you know, when you get mind out of the way by watching it and accepting and laughing at whatever you're not doing it, you're the awareness of that mind. That's it. It's a sixth sense. It's without anything real, like no words coming through smell and taste and eyes. There's no words coming through mind that are real. It's just what you're aware of. And this in this instant, for the past 60 years and the next 40 odd, it's labeled Sodhi. Like somebody labeled places on that globe and called them places and drew lines on it. None of that exists, just
Yeah, and
in
then they told us
concept.
all where our place was.
Yeah, we can only go to there. You can only go to there. You're not, it's all just bollocks, mate. And that's all right now that you see it without trying. That means you're here, innit? because there's no
Yeah. And
mind now. That you're not
once you
trying to
believe
work it
those
out
borders,
anymore. Yeah, and you know
once you
you're in
believe those
it.
borders, they're real.
Yeah, and Sodhi, this is the truth, mate. You know you're in the isness now because you don't have mind. You don't have that craving to understand the isness because you like, oh fuck, of course it's already the isness. And that's it. It's no bigger or smaller than that in terms of a realization. But what comes with it over the time, Sodhi, is not 60 years of man-made drama. Because it ends, the drama ends. You're like immune to drama and other people's drama. Because you realize they're the only one it's drama for because they're in the story of their own story in their own mind. And because they didn't know this, they've never lifted the veil. And we don't have to make it a thing. We don't have to call it anything. It's the only way it can be what it is if we don't call it anything. If we don't use words and create separation from the wholeness. And just with grace and love, Sodhi, this is what you have just truly accepted is what everybody else calls God. And you see that you are that because you're that awareness. You are the awareness of what is, which is everything.
I'd have to have a different thought on that.
Yeah.
I
I
think
thought I'd
those
just
who want
screw
to
you
call it
again. You've done so
can't
well. I
accept
thought I'd
what's
screw
real.
you up right at the end.
I
Yeah, no,
think I think those who call it God can't accept what's real. Nothing. There is nothing. And if there is, you'll find out.
exactly when you need to.
But I'm not going to call it God, just so I can feel happy in the
Brilliant,
moment.
brilliant, mate. Brilliant. If you can unlabel all sensations and all thoughts, you stop adding to them. You tend to learn to feel that that's just what the human experience is like without a story. Because it's like feelings are happening, but they're not happening to the I or the me anymore. Because the I or the me it's kind of isn't given any weight behind it anymore. Even though the story keeps playing initially, yeah, because it's not ever done anything else. So it has to be de-energized. But the only way that Sodhi can de-energize it is by sitting in this space where there isn't a next for no reason, feeling the chair in his bum, the floor pushing into his feet. And if the mind spins up, go and look for the one that is aware of what is being heard, and it'll end. You just practice, practice, see what works for you. See what practice works for you when your mind does spin up, because you need something to train yourself with. You need a process. And that may be the first video, it may be this video, it may be some other person or video or audiobook. But you've got to keep ramming this nothingness home
You
and
see,
questioning
in that,
what the mind comes up with and, and,
and
and,
I'm
and
going to interrupt
proving
you,
to
otherwise
your
I'll
mind.
forget.
So say that again.
In that last, I said I am going to interrupt you, otherwise I'll forget. In that last sentence, you answered my question.
Go on.
In um, see, there you go.
That's all right.
Fucking
Don't
COVID.
matter. Don't matter. We've got it on recorded. We'll get to it later. It's recorded. Yeah. So you said that
Yeah.
in that I answered your question.
Yes. So essentially, this is to stop you spinning off into another duality, which isn't real.
Exactly, my man. Yeah, that is it. And it ends there.
And You know, 8.3 billion people on the planet, as you say. Every one of them will find a different use for this
Yeah,
in altering or stopping their own duality.
but that's the mind thinking that it's a thing to use, and it ain't a thing. It's just what is. A thing is something separate to you, but you are what
Yeah.
is. You are all things already without words. Bonkers, isn't it? The human can't get this, can
It's
it?
going to get bonkers.
I think it's been like that for a long time. And there's a kind of serenity that you are experiencing now without meditating. The mind is kind of down a couple of gears without trying, without meditating. And this is it because you just practiced connecting with the isness by disconnecting with the story of my life. And you're starting to put a little bit of belief in yourself for once, what you're actually experiencing in this instant, and you're putting your awareness into this instant. And that's when the mind goes quiet because you're already in this instant. So the mind isn't required to do anything for that. But you could use the mind to go, how can I connect this hard drive to this computer? You can use the mind for that. Cool. It ends there. It's not a story there. It was just words that reminded me how to plug that in. It ends there. It's not a story. It's just knowledge, not real. It's a reminder. It's a pointer, like all words. Because remember, they're all hollow and empty and point back to the isness, all of them, for no reason. That's just the concept of language. And it's only a few thousand years old, that concept, by the way. I think the Earth's a few million or billion, don't know.
4.5 billion, apparently,
Right,
according to the story.
that's how irrelevant our words are, man. You know, and they make new ones up each year. They don't allow us to use others. It's fucking insane. No wonder everyone's losing their nut. You know what I mean? It's like, just leave us the fuck alone because we're all right, thanks. But no, they've got to poison the food. They've got to poison the media. They've got to keep you in fear. They've got to poison the education. You can only know what they let you know. And they'll certainly let you know if you know something they don't want you to know. They'll delete you.
It,
They delete you.
it is, well,
They deleted
it
over
is a living,
100,000 of us.
it is a living matrix. You know, one of my favorite memes, funny enough, on Facebook is the meme that says Facebook wasn't a movie, it was a documentary.
Yeah, exactly,
Sorry,
man.
The Matrix wasn't a movie; it was a
Matrix.
documentary. Yeah,
Mm, mm,
absolutely. The best metaphor for how life is on this planet.
mm. And when you find out the truth about Hollywood, you'll realize they've known about this forever.
Well, I know about Hollywood.
I didn't want to go. I don't even want to start that. That's just words. Let's not spin the emotions up. I don't need to do that. We've worked hard to not do that. Yeah.
That's a different rabbit hole I went down for
Yeah.
15 years,
Yeah.
and you'll never get to the end of it.
No, I think it's incomprehensible, but let's end it there.
You won't change it. You won't wake anyone up because it's up to them to wake
Perfect.
up.
Perfect. And I can't ever wake you up, mate. It's down to you.
Right? You can't tell them because they'll fight you for it.
I can't tell you. You'll fight me for it.
It's just like in the Matrix.
Yeah, it is.
If they haven't woken up, they will fight you to stay asleep,
Exactly. Thinking they're winning.
thinking that is real, that is life, that is correct.
Hello, it's brutal. It's
No,
cruel, isn't it?
that is you're talking about, isn't that is?
Well, the Matrix is in the isness as well. It's part of it, isn't it? From here, you can see it from here because you can see everyone living their little story.
I
Right, mate,
just
I've
wonder
got
how
to
many
go.
people.
I've got reflexology in 17 minutes and I've got a 15-minute drive. So if you don't mind, if you don't mind, brother, I'm happy to rejoin later in a couple of hours if you want to talk some more or in a few weeks or whatever. You know where I am, all right?
Oh, well,
But
okay,
you don't
thank you.
need to don't need to do anything with this, mate, all right? You just need to enjoy it. Enjoy whatever is coming through those five senses, all right? And just practice distancing yourself from those memories and the story and see it for what it is now. Always, because it is always that. It's always not real, okay? It's never sometimes real, ever. All right? It's just a reaction. Love you, man. Safe travels, and I wish you better.
Thank
I hope
you.
you feel stronger soon, all right?
Don't break any speeding rules. You know what happens.
Yeah. All right,
Hitting with
take
their
care,
rules
brother.
again. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.